me again, and welcome back to Chapter by Chapter. And this next chapter is just as good as the first one. So chapter 2 is a Zoya chapter, and I was really happy to get her point of view after what just happened to Dima in the first chapter. I was pretty sure that she was going to be mad at Nikolai and just be horrified by the whole situation. But we find out that this problem has been happening for about 6 months or so. And the chapter starts out in typical Zoya fashion. She's disgusted by everything. She hates the bumpy coat she's in. She hates the disgusting wool jacket she has to wear. You know, almost as if the whole winged creature king thing wasn't that big of a deal. But she just fell a little flat to me before, even though, like I said, I really wanted to like her. I just think I needed more, and we're finally getting it. What surprised me in the first series was that Zoya loves Ravka. She loves her country so much that it didn't matter that she was the Darkling's favorite. She chose her country before anything else. In the Six of Crows duology, she was just there as that mean and moody character, and it was a great callback from whenever Nina talked about how Zoya was the one who was training her, and Zoya was with her on the mission before she got lost from everybody. And Zoya warned her not to get lost from everybody. Just remember that. And what surprised me is that Zoya is showing some vulnerability in this chapter. First, she admits that she really wished that the twins were with her, but her pride got in the way, and she knew that Nikolai would be really embarrassed if there was anyone else there to see what happened to him. So as they're traveling back to Ivette's where they are for a trade summit, Zoya's listening to the wind outside and really thinking about how it's her ally. She said that usually she's in control of her power, but in moments like this, she feels like the wind is helping her. It helped mask all of the noises of what just happened. So neighbors want to be coming down the street looking to see what's going on at the goose farm. People stayed inside their homes and didn't see Nikolai. And as she's thinking about this, Nikolai transforms back into himself. She hands him a rumpled shirt and a rumpled coat, so it looks like they were out together the night before. And I love this element. I was surprised that Zoya didn't care that it looked like they were having an affair. She just really cares about Ravka. Like, I feel like that's what she's telling herself. Like, I'll do anything for my country. She's checking him out. And as Nikolai is changing, we find out that he still, in fact, does have the scars on his finger. Zoya really thinks that he should embrace these scars and show them to the people so they know what he went through. No one still has any clue that Nikolai is transforming into this monster. People still just think that he was only captured by the Darkling and that he was tortured. As Zoya's checking Nikolai out, she sees that his body is really taking a toll from what's going on. As he's trying to button his shirt, his hands are shaking so badly that he's struggling. What does Zoya do? She slides over and helps him button his shirt. And I love their relationship. I love this moment. It shows that Zoya can pull down that tough exterior and show that she can help somebody out. And it shows that Nikolai isn't too proud to let her help. And it also shows how close they are at this point. And they're such a cute pair. I know they're just a fake couple, but they're doing coupley things basically throughout this whole chapter. Checking each other out. They have this witty banter back and forth. It's just
snarky remark, jokes, snarky remark, jokes, snarky remark, jokes, snarky remark, jokes.
That's just like the repertoire that they have. Still only remembers these moments as the Beast in flashes. Just like before, where he didn't have complete control of what was going on. He's asking her what exactly he got himself into and making jokes about, well, I hope it was like a really nice geese farm that I terrorized for the night. And he's hoping that he didn't murder anyone. And the only way that they can really find out for sure what he did before they got there was just to check the reports on all the other towns. I'm sure that has to be absolutely terrifying for him, not to have that control that he's used to. So it's basically been about 3 years since the end of the trilogy and the end of the Civil War. Just as a refresher,
Stop it!
And just as a little reminder, the Darkling infected him with the creatures that he made with the magic that is the abomination to all of the Grecian magic. And I'm so sorry that I'm probably going to end up butchering a lot of words in this. It was the Mirza?
No, I'm not even gonna try that.
So the Darkling turns him into this winged monster with fangs and talons, and that's why he has the scars on his hands. One thing that Nikolai does seem to remember from the whole experience is that he craves human flesh and that he feels very animalistic in these moments. For some reason, I always remember that like he can't read in the first series. Like it was like he couldn't tell where he was because he couldn't read the signs.
I have no control of my body, but I can't read.
Leigh Bardugo really holds reading to a higher standard in these books. I like it. The last time Nikolai was in this beast form was when the Darkling died. So when Alina killed him, it killed the beast within. It was Zoya who saved him. He was in beast form midair, flying during this battle, and she saved him. She cushioned his fall. So I'm guessing that had something to do with our closeness, and I'm pretty sure Zoya was always a bit thirsty for Nikolai, just like, you know, most of us. So all this happened 6 months ago where they found Nikolai bloodied and bruised in a field, and he just woke up and was like, Must be pretty good at sleepwalking, I don't know about you guys. And they have no idea how he got out, because how do you lose your king? This happened on the same night that this bizarre earthquake struck, and all of these hummingbirds flew out of a chasm out of the earth. Then a month later, Toila's just hanging out, reading a book, guarding the king's door, and he hears this huge crash of glass. Peeks in, what does he see? Nikolai in beast form just hanging out on the windowsill, flying away. And the way that I just picture this scene happening is that Toila opens the door and Nikolai is just perched on the windowsill, and he just turned around and is like, that is just how I'm going to think of it. So they come up with this plan to chain Nikolai to his bed, and it works out because no servants are allowed in the room, only his closest advisors are allowed in. And a nice perk to this is that Zoya gets to put him in bed every night. She locks him up every night and lets him out every morning, and this is so weird and so cute, and I'm here for it. It seems very sensual to me too, putting him to bed in these chains. Am I tainted by the 50 Shades era? But they have to do this, and they have to keep it a secret because they know, first of all, he'll be a laughingstock. Nikolai's reputation means a lot to him. Second of all, which is a pretty big one, if anyone knew that the king was chained up, they could easily come in and assassinate him. The only problem with this is Nikolai's really held back from traveling the country at this point, and he's worried that if he does just what his dad did and let all these advisors rule the country, that it'll just fall to ruin. Since Nikolai wanted to go to this trade meeting, Genya made him a sleeping tonic.
It obviously didn't work that well.
What's concerning is that the incidents are happening closer and closer together, and he used to have this time in between them and be able to prepare, or after they happened, he would at least have a moment's rest. Usually the creature only goes after livestock, but everyone's pretty concerned that he's going to end up eating somebody. And in true Nikolai fashion, he's joking around and trying to make light of the situation. Zoya's sitting across from him and watching him struggle and realizing that this is taking a lot harder of a toll on him than he's letting on. As they're traveling, they come across this bridge, and they're hyping up this bridge and saying how weird it is. I'm assuming this bridge came about from the same kind of weird magic that caused all of the hummingbirds to come out of the chasm the way they're talking about this. Turns out there's a festival happening in the village, and it reminded me of the trilogy where Alina's following that bread cart around, or the sweet cart. But there's this festival for St. Gregory, and they're following the guy in the party wagon, and all of a sudden the bridge goes out from underneath them. Then comes up another bridge. The creepy thing about this bridge is it's made of bone and tendon and gristle, and then they say it's a spine that they're traveling on. Zoya's rightfully creeped out by it. Wouldn't be Ravka if people weren't going out to see this creepy bone bridge, gotta camp outside of it and put up altars to it. And then we find out that there's a statue that's weeping tears of blood. So 3 really creepy things that have been happening all over Ravka. Zoe's worried that Agrisha made the bridge, because how else could this happen unless they were on Perem? And then she starts to wonder if these incidents are somehow connected to Nikolai's power coming back too. I really like how in the first chapter they bring up the whole fact that saints could be Grisha, because that was a pretty big point in the first trilogy. And then Nina Matthias talk about it too in the Six of Crows duology. Nikolai is desperate to leave. He doesn't want to go back to Ivette's and, put on a happy face after this happened. And Zoya really wants him to stay because Zoya is trying to be a matchmaker in this moment. One thing I really enjoy about all of these series is that they're separate in their own right. There's the trilogy, the duology, and then this is supposed to be a duology as well. But everything is so connected. I love it. Makes the things so easy to digest and to know what's going on, to remember the people and the places. So Zoya wants to marry off Nikolai to a guy, not the guy. So at the summits, there is a really high up Kirch Merchant Council member there. And that's where the connection is from the Six of Crows duology. You really go into the Merchant Council and Kirch and Ketterdam. Hiram, the Kirch Merchant Council member, has 2 daughters. So Zoe thinks that if Nikolai marries either of them, maybe they'll be a bit more forgiving with all of the debt they have accumulated from the war. In this moment, I forgot how war-torn Ravka really is. Completely broke. Their king is going through a lot. His legitimacy is being questioned. False pretenders popping up all the time, and one of them was even in Crooked Kingdom. Nikolai's still making jokes in this moment, saying that he doesn't want to live his whole life with his wife being oogled by other guys. I'm pretty sure he means the chemistry between them is so obvious in this chapter, and yet again, I'm just out loud being like,
oh, she likes him. Oh, he likes her.
This is cute. Zoya loves her country so much, though, like I said before, that she obviously has feelings for Nikolai, and she's still pushing for him to be married off to better Ravka. But Nikolai's like, how am I supposed to marry anyone when I turn into a creepy winged monster with talons every night? How do I explain that to a wife? Then Zoya, the voice of reason, is there reminding him how vulnerable Ravka is without an heir, especially because his legitimacy is in question. And of course, in true Kirch fashion, there's something shady going on with Hiram, and he questions Nikolai about one of his newest inventions, which I think is basically just a submarine, and it's a really confusing word to read.
Is Marta?
And they talk about how there was a leak at their old facility. Something that Zoya brings up that I think is really cool was that the reason that she could find Nikolai is because she could sense him through the wind. Like, she can feel his weight and his movement. And she starts to wonder if she didn't get there in time, if he would have eaten the boy. And she knows he has this taste for human flesh. Here she is, buttoning up his shirt, making sure he's okay. And then we get to a part that I think is pretty comical, but also shows their relationship perfectly. They're starting to get back to where they were, and Nikolai is rumpling his hair.
And Zoya's checking him out while he's doing it.
He's taking a swig of whiskey, and Zoya's dabbing it on herself. And they basically have to make it look like they were out all night together, putting up this front that they're having an affair. Why else would Zoya be going into his bedroom every night and coming out early every morning? And Zoya says it's just
what is required of her for her country.
I'm not buying it. I don't think he's buying it either. I don't think anyone's buying it. I mean, I was in denial the whole time that Nikolai was this preacher in the first chapter of the book, but I can still see that these two, they have such great chemistry. In this moment, Zoya really wants to let herself indulge and just cuddle up to him, be present, but she has to think ahead to what this monster really wants, and that's human flesh. And she knows eventually that this is going to get out. There's no way that they can keep this under wraps forever, especially if he keeps finding ways to escape. So as Zoya's cuddling him and really just trying to enjoy it for a second, she's still thinking about how he needs to marry someone else and create an heir to just secure the Ravkan throne that she loves. So is Zoya going to end up putting the throne before her feelings? Because it's very obvious, even though they're just putting on like this show, you can tell they really care about each other. Otherwise, why would all these intimate moments be happening with like her buttoning his shirt and rumpling his clothes? And cute. There's the sweetest moment at the end of the chapter where Nikolai's like, I'll do it all. I'll marry someone. I'll produce an heir. But in this moment, let's just pretend we're an old married couple. He said, let's just do what old married couples do and lie to each other.
Hilarious.
So Nikolai's saying, lie to me. Tell me I'll be fine. Zoya tells him everything's going to be fine. And he's like, oh, you're so good at this game. Because everyone knows that turning into a winged monster that hunts down children and geese isn't fine. And Zoya asks if he believes her. He says yes. And she says, see, you're really good at pretending too. We have to remember that tons of people that they knew and loved died or were exiled or had to put themselves in exile. Both of them still have to be suffering so deeply, and then they find this really beautiful connection with each other, this banter, and they have this lightheartedness, and they're still having this relationship through this really dark and hard time. I did not know that I needed these Zoya chapters as much as I did. If Zoya's character arc is anything like the characters in the Six of Crows duology, we will be so satisfied by the end of this book and blown away in the second book. And though Matthias and Nina are my ultimate ship out of all of these books, I am really rooting for Zoya and Nikolai. But if we learned anything from the other books, nothing is going to come easily for these two. I will be there
ripping my book and screaming at them
the entire time. That's chapter 2 with Zoya. Feel free to comment down below and let's talk about this chapter. Is there anything that I missed out? Were you also screaming, oh my god, I love them so much, the whole entire time you were reading this? Did Nikolai's thirst traps catch you like they catched Zoya? Just let me know down below.